Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by the head football coach at Olivet High School. That, of course, is Gabe Priddy. How's it going?
Good.
So talk about just how practice is going so far and some of the things that you've kind of noticed and all that stuff. How has it been going?
So it's been going really well. We've implemented some new things, run a little bit different offense than what we've done in the past. And so we implemented that in our team camp in July that we had. And then as we got into last week, had some growing pains through the first week. But I feel like our kids are grasping the concepts and the things that we're doing with it. They're all in, they're buying into it. And after Monday and Tuesday's practice, I feel like we are where we want to be at this point in the season.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about some of the guys that are going to be returning for this team and some of the guys to watch. Let's start with the skill positions and go from there.
Okay. So coming back, we've got Taven Felposh, who plays receiver and free safety for us. Had a big game in our playoff game last year he had like 10 catches and touchdown and just a big game for us. So looking for leadership from him coming back at that position, both offensively and defensively. And then Jackson Sinclair is a tight end. He's a D lineman on the other side, but his season was kind of cut short last year. Game 2 had some back issues and ended up not being able to finish the season. Most of the season didn't play. And so he's a big, tall, physical blocker. He's got great length, great hands, and so we're excited to have him back as a weapon offensively too.
Okay. Let's go to the offensive and defensive line.
Offensive, defensive line. So offense, we're bringing back 2 starters from last year's group. Offensive line was a strength of ours last year. And so to bring 2 guys back that were starting and have some experience is key for us. There was another guy who we brought up as a sophomore because of injuries. So I'm sorry, I'll go back. Our 2 returners are Levi Browning, played center for us last year. We're moving him to right tackle this year. He showed us last year as center. He's a very physical blocker, and we lock him in our blocking scheme. We move him out to tackle. Landon Bloss is another guy. We call him Alaska because he moved from Alaska a couple years ago down here. So he's started at guard for us last year. Coming back, he's lost some weight and he is really fast right now. So we're excited about the athleticism that he has gained and the physicality that he's shown early in camp. Jackson Sandmeyer was a sophomore for us last year who we had to bring up due to injuries. We had to move some guys around a little bit. And he had some big game experience starting as a sophomore at left tackle for us, playing against PW, just big games like that. So really kind of 3 guys coming back on that offensive line that we're excited about. Defensively up front, Wyatt Pocklington coming in at nose, who's he's a smaller, just a real muscular, explosive type kid. Makes a lot of plays in the backfield. He's not a typical defensive lineman when you look at him. He's a little wrecking ball that can shoot the gap and make plays, find the football from there. So he's coming back for us. And then again, like I said earlier, Jackson Sinclair is coming back at defensive end. Just a big physical kid. And then Ben Kolensky, who was up as a sophomore for us last year. We converted him from linebacker on JV, brought him up to play defensive end on varsity. So our defensive line is bringing back 3 or 4, and excited to have those guys back.
All right, let's go to linebackers and secondary.
So linebackers, we're going to be young. I mean, there's a possibility that we could be 4 sophomores across those spots, 2 inside, 2 outside. So we're looking at young guys. We're looking at Dawson Felposh, who he came up and played some meaningful time for us as a freshman last year. Towards the end of the season, I think last 4 games maybe he was up. Started at linebacker when he came up, and we ended up moving him to tight end because he was a physical blocker. Tegan Otto At the other inside linebacker, sophomore, he's a bigger, he's around 200 pounds, maybe a little over that, but he's just a really athletic kid. Outside backers, we're looking at like an Ethan Schaefer and Ty Everett. Again, a couple young guys. Just both of those guys they're smaller, but they're athletic. They're pretty powerful. Also looking at possibility of like a Luke Everett, who's a senior, coming back, and he showed us that he can be physical, so he's going to have a shot at the outside linebacker there. So we're just, if we have to, talked about Pac already, but we might have to stand him up just as we figure out who we have where, but he's really good down up front. So we would prefer to keep him down if we can. Secondary wise, I've talked about Taven coming back already, a free safety, a lot of experience there. We've got a young guy, another sophomore, looking at Jack Masters at a corner, who has shown great ball skills and instincts. And then Patrick Priestman, who's coming up. Pat will be he's going to be our starting quarterback also coming up, but he'll probably play at the other corner. So kind of inexperienced at both corners, but some guys who have really good instincts and ball skills. And what we have to find out about our guys is, are they going to be physical in this, especially in this league that we're moving into?
We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Let's go to special teams.
Special teams. Well, we're looking for a kicker right now. So Olivet has had kind of a long line of guys just with strong legs and can get the ball down the field. So we're searching for that right now, trying to figure out who that guy is going to be. And I think with the guys that we've got a lot of athletic, just kind of tough guys, and so I think we'll be sound in the special teams, getting some athletic guys out there that can make plays.
Oh, we've talked about the kids. Now let's talk about the schedule. You guys start off August 25th against Ramus Chippewa Hills. And then, of course, August 31st, you'll be at home at Portland. First two games are at home, I should say.
Yep.
September 8th at Lansing Sexton. September 15th at Ionia. September 22nd, home against Eaton Rapids. September 29th at Charlotte. October 6th at Lake Odessa Lakewood. October 13th at Lansing Catholic. And finishing out the regular season, October 20th at Richland Gull Lake. So, pretty good schedule. The biggest headline here is that, of course, Olivet is in a new conference this year, joining the CAAC White. So, of course, coming from the now defunct GLAC. So it's kind of talking about just making the move to this conference. I know Matt Seidel's been on here a lot. I know he's kind of talked about it from an AD perspective. But overall, what's it going to be like heading into the CAAC?
Challenging. We know that it's going to be challenging. Yeah. So I remember a year ago, Matt talking with the coaches. We had a meeting and just kind of talking about our options, knowing that the GLAC was going to kind of, teams going their separate ways, trying to figure out the right spot for us. And we're just kind of we're a weird fit in a lot of different conferences and different directions that we could have gone. Coming back to the Lansing, or staying in the Lansing area, I think is good for our kids, for our community. We'll get good coverage, as far as that kind of stuff goes. But coming into a conference where you've got a Portland and a Lansing Catholic and a Charlotte, man, just some powerhouse teams, some of the best teams in the Lansing area. So we know that. At the same time as we're coming in, our enrollments dropped a little bit, and so we moved down to Division VI. So we're used to being kind of the big fish in the small pond, and that is not the case anymore. We're the small fish, and so we enjoy the challenge. We talked about it with our kids. To make a playoff run, the experience that we're going to get with this kind of schedule is going to help us a ton. Kids are going to be challenged week in and week out. There's great coaches in this conference. We know that. There's some great athletes. And it's gonna help us grow up pretty quick, especially having Portland week 2. Our inexperienced young guys are going to grow up quick, and we have to do that. So we've talked about that with the kids. They know that, and we're excited to see what we've got.
Okay, so I know that talk about the scrimmage this week, and I know you guys are hosting one, so that'll be exciting. But really, what do you want to really see out of that? Because I know you did mention that there are some position battles that still need to be figured out.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at in the scrimmage. We tell our kids that nobody wins or loses a scrimmage. We're not keeping score. So we've never gotten our guys really fired up for a scrimmage. It's a chance to hit somebody else after what seems like a century of not being able to hit other guys, just in a week and a half of 2 days. So our guys are excited to compete against somebody else. But that's what we want to find out. So we're gonna put some guys in situations in the scrimmage where we're gonna find out if they can play a starting role for us or not. So we have a few positions that are not set, and we're gonna give guys the opportunity to show us what they can do tomorrow night. And we've got it's a good scrimmage, good teams that come in. We've got Marshall coming in, Langsburg, who's always just very physical, small school, tough football program, and then Waverly coming in with some really good athletes, some speed that we need to get used to, because we're going to be seeing that over the course of the season.
All right, Gabe, Priddy, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck to the Eagles this coming season.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate your time.